From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Iran warns of more retaliation if Israel or the U.S. strike again. Tehran says the conflict is paused but not over. This and more in today's show. Israel has confirmed striking an Iranian radar site near Tehran just hours after a ceasefire was announced. The strike came after Iran fired a missile that killed 4 people in Beersheba and another 6 minutes after the truce took effect. Iran later agreed to the ceasefire in principle, but only if Israel halts its bombing. Iranian media reported 2 loud explosions in Tehran. President Donald Trump, who brokered the ceasefire, sharply criticized Israel's retaliation. He said, "I'm not happy with that. These guys have got to calm down." Trump questioned Israel's justification, calling the Iranian rocket possibly a mistake. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly paused further attacks after a call with Trump. It remains unclear if the call came before or after the radar strike. Trump called the complete and total ceasefire a major breakthrough for the Middle East. Trump says he hopes that Israel-Iran ceasefire will last forever, warning that the conflict could have engulfed the entire region. Iran has warned it will continue retaliating if the United States or Israel resume attacks. The Supreme National Security Council said the conflict with Israel and what it called its terrorist supporters is currently halted, but any new aggression, it warned, will face a decisive and timely response. The council credited Iran's people and military for standing firm and defeating the enemy through unity, patience, and resolve. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Israel started the war and Tehran will only stop if Israel does. He stressed the final decision on ending military operations has not yet been made. Iran confirmed its missile strikes continued until the last moment before the ceasefire. State media denied reports of any further attacks on Israel after that. Araghchi praised Iran's armed forces for their calculated blows and readiness to defend the country against any further assault. Iran reportedly gave advance notice to Qatar before striking the U.S. airbase at Al Udeid on Monday. Al Udeid is a main regional military hub for American forces. According to the New York Times, Tehran coordinated with Qatari officials to reduce casualties. Iran launched 10 missiles as part of Operation Glad Tidings of Victory, targeting U.S. forces. Qatar intercepted the missiles and reported no casualties. Iranian sources described the move as symbolic retaliation after U.S. strikes on its nuclear sites. Officials said the goal was to send a message without escalating the conflict. The approach echoed Iran's 2020 strike on U.S. forces in Iraq after Iranian General Qasem Soleimani's assassination, which was ordered by Trump. A White House official said Washington is monitoring threats closely. The U.S. Embassy has urged citizens to shelter in place. The Supreme Court has allowed the Trump administration to resume deporting migrants to third-party countries. The court lifted a lower court ruling that had paused the practice, which had aimed to protect migrants from being sent to places where they face danger. In a 6-3 decision, the court issued an unsigned order without explanation. The ruling now permits the administration to deport asylum seekers to countries like South Sudan, despite reports of human rights abuses there. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, in a strong dissent, accused the court of rewarding lawlessness. She warned the decision exposes migrants to torture and death. The case now heads to an appeals court, but may return to the Supreme Court. 15 lawmakers are calling for the permanent closure of the Guantanamo Bay U.S. military prison. In a strongly worded letter by Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, they urged the Trump administration to abandon plans to detain thousands of undocumented migrants there. The letter, addressed to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, condemned Guantanamo as a symbol of injustice, torture, and Islamophobia. Reports suggest the Trump administration is preparing to transfer up to 9,000 migrants to the Cuba-based facility, sparking outrage. Lawmakers warned this would deny immigrants access to courts and basic legal rights under U.S. and international law. They called the move morally abhorrent and unlawful and demanded an immediate halt. Guantanamo gained notoriety after the September 11, 2001 attacks as a site where terror suspects were held without trial. Now observers fear it will again be used to sidestep due process. Republican senators are raising red flags over deep Medicaid cuts in President Donald Trump's sweeping legislative megabill. The bill, which is set for a Senate vote by week's end, includes major spending rollbacks that worry lawmakers from rural states. Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas says Medicaid provisions remain his biggest concern, especially their impact on rural hospitals. Senator Susan Collins of Maine echoed those concerns, proposing a relief fund for rural providers. Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina said the bill's Medicaid language needs work and predicted changes could take days. Despite the pushback, Senate Majority Leader John Thune still plans to bring the bill to the floor by Thursday or Friday. But without consensus, GOP leaders may struggle to secure the votes needed to advance it. Extreme heat scorches 265 million Americans as global leaders demand urgent climate action. This and more after the break. As extreme heat grips more than 265 million Americans this week, over 150 organizations from 45 countries are calling for urgent climate action. The groups outline 10 actions, including ending fossil fuel expansion, protecting forests, and investing in indigenous rights and food security. The demands were unveiled at the Global Women's Assembly for Climate Justice, which is led by the Women's Earth and Climate Action Network. Founder Osprey Oriel Lake said the crisis is not just environmental, but a threat to justice and humanity itself. The coalition says the world must act fast to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius and warns against false solutions such as natural gas, carbon offsets, and nuclear energy. The Israeli army is demolishing more homes in the Nur Shams refugee camp in Tulkarm. This is part of a wider military campaign now in its 127th day. The operation began January 21st in Jenin and has since spread to Tulkarm and Nur Shams. According to Wafa News Agency, Israel plans to destroy 106 buildings, 58 in Tulkarm and 48 in Nur Shams. Israeli officials claim the demolitions are for road clearance and geographic changes. In the last 24 hours, Israel has killed 79 Palestinians in Gaza and injured 289 others, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. Among the dead were 5 people found under rubble. Hospitals also report receiving 49 victims Israel shot while they were trying to access humanitarian aid. Since October, Israel has killed 516 people while they were seeking food or essentials, with nearly 3,800 wounded. The United Nations has condemned what it calls Israel's weaponization of food, warning that such actions may amount to war crimes. It criticized Israel's militarized aid delivery model and urged its forces to stop firing on civilians looking for food. Meanwhile, the humanitarian crisis worsens. 3-year-old Hassan Barbach died Tuesday from malnutrition and organ failure. His family's pleas for medical evacuation went unanswered. His brother and father also died in the genocide. Israel has killed more than 64,000 Palestinians since the start of its genocide in Gaza in October 2023, according to the British medical journal The Lancet. It has also wounded more than 131,000, according to Palestinian sources. Last November, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. The United Nations has officially removed Somalia from its list of parties involved in recruiting child soldiers. Somalia's defense ministry hailed the move as a milestone, crediting reforms in the country's security sector. Officials say the plan was implemented in line with Somalia's constitution and international child protection laws. The government reaffirmed its commitment to safeguarding children from conflict and pledged to keep building a professional and accountable national army. The Somali government has vowed to continue its fight against al-Shabaab, also called al-Khawarij by the administration, a terror group known for recruiting children. The European Union Agency for Asylum reports that al-Shabaab heavily targets boys aged 12 to 24. Despite the UN delisting, Somalia remains in a deep crisis. According to UNICEF, armed conflict still threatens children's lives and well-being. A United Nations expert is calling on countries to stop the growing crisis of missing migrants. Gehad Mahdi, UN Special Rapporteur on Migrant Rights, warned that thousands vanish each year during dangerous journeys. Many disappear due to detention, deportation, trafficking, or state-led operations. He urged governments in origin, transit, and destination countries to take joint action. His report recommends stronger data collection, better search systems, and clear support for affected families. The International Convention Against Enforced Disappearance prohibits such actions under any circumstances, yet only 77 countries have ratified it. Mahdi linked state inaction and impunity to the scale of the crisis. He cited recent UN reports on disappearances in Tanzania, Mali, and El Salvador. The UN says a rights-based approach must replace current migration policies to ensure dignity and safety for all. Experts say a new Islamic ESG index is reshaping how sustainable finance can work by aligning faith and ethics with modern investing. An ESG index consists of companies that meet certain criteria for environmental, social, and governance performance. Launched at the Global Islamic Economy Summit in Istanbul, Turkey last month, the Al Baraka Islamic ESG Index blends Sharia law with real-time data, AI, and ESG principles. Its goal is to merge financial performance with social justice, environmental care, and human dignity. Islamic finance is growing fast and was worth more than $5 trillion in 2024. It is projected to hit $7.5 trillion by 2028. Though still a small slice of global finance, it is expanding faster than the broader market. Major players such as SP Funds, Manulife, and Mackenzie Investments are now offering Sharia-compliant ESG products. These go beyond traditional standards, offering a moral and inclusive model. With rising doubts around conventional ESG, experts say the Islamic ESG model offers a fresh, principled alternative, bridging ethical values and financial goals in a rapidly changing global economy. In a groundbreaking discovery, scientists have turned plastic waste into paracetamol using genetically modified E. coli bacteria. Researchers at the University of Edinburgh converted the compound PET, which is found in plastic bottles, into a key compound called PABA. Professor Stephen Wallace, who led the study, said the breakthrough merges chemistry and biology in a way never seen before. Published in Nature Chemistry, the study suggests a sustainable future where common drugs can be made from waste. Though large-scale production needs more work, researchers say this new process could help tackle both pollution and drug manufacturing's reliance on fossil fuels. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. Please donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.